Hello, this is Georgia Jaguar, stampingeorgia.com. Thanks for stopping by as the saga continues of Brusho escapades. So today I'm going to share another way that I use them, and I did the same technique on two different kinds of paper, one being watercolor paper and one being the glossy paper. And so even though I used the exact same colors and I started with the same image and same embossing, it's an emboss resist technique with the Brusho, I got two completely different looks. And so I'm going to show you how I did both of them, and then I'll share the card ideas at the end. So first, I've already done the embossing, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So here is the finished card again. This is with the Brusho pigment powders. And also this is on the glossy, the Brusho pigment powders. So first I'm going to start with showing you the one on watercolor paper. I've gone ahead and I used Versamark ink and white embossing powder. And you'll notice a difference when you stamp from this to when you stamp on the glossy. The watercolor paper has texture to it, and so it's not going to be as smooth and perfect of an image, which is fun. It just kind of adds a little bit different twist to the look of it. And the colors that I used in that, even though it does look kind of coral, I used the Brilliant Red. And this is where I discovered you really don't use very much Brusho. And so I am just dabbing, and you can really see it show up, unlike it did when I used it direct to stamp. So just a tiny bit of that, and then I want to add my yellow. And it's okay if it goes outside of the lines. And again, with this, you can't really mess it up too bad. I've got a couple layers of paper towel underneath to absorb, but now I just let the water do the magic. And really, you want plenty of water. This watercolor paper can take it. And every single one is going to turn out a little bit different. What I loved was taking my aqua painter, make sure it's clear, and you can actually add a little bit of powder to the top of a clear block. And then if you want a little bit more color, because again, it's really hard to tell where it's going to go. If you want a little more color in some spots, you can just go pick it up with your aqua painter. You can also move the color that's right on your paper. And you can see this one's already looking very different from my original one, but it also changes as it dries. So I want both colors to show in there, but I really want my white embossing to show up. So I just want to make sure that there's color everywhere. And then what I discovered was fun with this, I want my background to be pretty too. You can always go and add a little bit more if you want there to be a little more color in different places. And this you can move it, but what's cool is with the embossing, it kind of stays in the lines of your embossed image. The stamp that I use is from the Beautiful Day. That's what it's called. And then I went ahead and kept my heat tool, and I'm going to just go after that. This is going to be another one of those projects that no two are going to turn out the same. And that you just have to be okay with. You could move that color if you want it to spread around outside. There is just so much color that comes out of these. I really want that white to show up. And this is going to take a little bit longer to dry. and what I'm doing, but I'm hurrying it along with the heat tool. Using your heat tool on it will help direct the color. It will also help pull the moisture out of the paper so it will dry faster and it will dry flat. But again, once you frame that up with a coordinating color, and you can pull out other colors. I didn't have Calypso Coral in my pigment powder, but it definitely looks Calypso Coral in this one. So like I said, every single one is going to turn out different. And then there are some parts of pigment that dried on here. I can take a clean piece of paper towel with a little bit of water on it, and I want to go over that once it's done drying, and it will get those spots where the pigment powder dried so that your white image will pop that much more. And again, I can go back around this and add more color if I want to, but that's just how fun and easy that particular technique is. So now I'm going to switch over, and I did the same thing, Versamark with white embossing powder on glossy white cardstock. I'm just going to flip this over because it's pretty wet on top. And we're going to start with the same colors just so that you can see how different it turns out on a different paper and how different it moves on a different paper. So red, and the more intense the color, the less pigment you could want to use, or less pigment powder you're going to want to use. So I went ahead and used a little bit more on this one. And you can just see how it puddles too on the, but what I did for this particular card when it dried, and again, you can use your heat tool and it will move the color. And this one will take a fair amount of time to dry. And again, I will take my little piece of paper towel. So here is the one after it's dry, done on glossy. Here is the one done on the watercolor paper. And what I did with the glossy, I just wasn't that crazy the way the background turned out. And so what I did was use my paper snips and actually cut the image out. It works great with the butterfly embossing folder. And that's the card that I came up with for that. And then here is the watercolor paper one again. So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you'll give this fun emboss resist technique a try.